When are you going to get real help? Maybe it's to start the ministry that God's laid on your heart and you feel unqualified to leave. What are you prepared to do? Because God stands to write a bigger and better story. You're the only thing standing in the way. And I just want to ask you, what's the impossible dream that God is calling you to dream? Would you give that some thought? And it's one thing to want God to write a better story, but quite another to trust Him in the process. Is there something you've been trying to control, but He's asking you to trust Him? And I realize that trust is a hard word. We can say that we trust Him with our dreams, but then we have to execute that trust. Easier said than done. There's an author that I love by the name of Henry Nouwen. He wrote a book called Sabbatical Journey. It's an extraordinary book. It's actually a journal that he wrote in the last year of his life. And he talks about some of his friends who were trapeze artists. So circus, think circus. And these trapeze artists explained to him that there was a unique relationship between the flyer and the catcher. And the flyer, of course, is the person who lets go of the bar and flies, and the catcher is the one who is to catch the flyer. And they were explaining that there comes this time where the flyer is flying high above the crowd, and the flyer must let go. And at that point, this is the flyer's job, to reach out his or her hands, to be as still as possible, to close your eyes and wait to be caught in midair. Yeah, right. Can you imagine that? That goes against every instinct that you and I have in our body, right? And that goes against every instinct. And the trapeze artists explained that the worst thing that a flyer can do is to catch the catcher, to try and catch the catcher. When you try and catch the catcher, you're in a lot of trouble. You have to reach out your hands and be still with confidence and trust that the strong arms of the catcher will catch you. And I would guess that this is where some of you find yourself. The brook has run dry, you feel like you're flying. Everything in you says, catch the catcher. Everything in you says, hit the panic button. And God says, would you trust me? Would you trust me? Would you reach out your hands and wait for the strong arms of the catcher? Key word, wait. And trusting God in the midst of your dreams is super hard because sometimes, no, all the time, trust requires waiting. A few days ago, I found myself at a grocery store in our hometown, Market Street, and I had a list. It's Christmas time. Everybody has a list. You have a shopping list, a to-do list, a gift list. And I had a list. My wife had given me a list. And so I'm going through the grocery store, and it's very festive. People were in good moods, and there was Christmas music playing, and food smells wafting. There were a few samples available. It was just a jolly little holiday experience. And then I got to the checkout counter. If I'm being honest, it wasn't quite as jolly there. And I did what I always do. Do you do this? Do you ever do this? And I want you to remember you're in church, so we should be very honest in church. Shouldn't lie in church. Shouldn't lie anywhere. Definitely shouldn't lie in church. So be honest with me. Do you ever do this? Like when you get ready to go to the checkout counter, do you kind of mentally count how many are in each line? And then you look at each cart and you sort of calibrate how many groceries are in each. Do you do this? And if you're really sick, and I am, I actually when I choose a line, I choose a person in the line next to me, and that's like me in the line. And if they get through before I do, I lost, right? And you lost. And so on this particular day, I chose what I thought was the best line, but I made a classic mistake. I ignored the age demographic in front of me. Because I had chosen my opponent. He was in the line next to me. He had an OU sweatshirt on. He was my opponent. He was the enemy for this day. And he had in front of him more people, but he had debit card tapping millennials, and I had check writing baby boomers in front of me. And there was a lady in front of me that even had the nerve to pay in cash and coin. And I'm like, what is this, 1987? Come on. And the next lady behind her had a coupon. I'm like, what are we doing here? We're saving 40 cents and wasting 10 minutes. I mean, what are we doing here? I want to fully admit to you, that's my problem. It wasn't their problem. I'm not good at waiting, and not good. And sometimes we don't want to wait, and we settle for the lesser dream in life. Have you ever heard of the marshmallow experiment? The experiment is a study on delayed gratification that Stanford University did, where they offered a child a choice between eating one marshmallow immediately or waiting for a little bit of time, and the reward was 2 marshmallows. And the child is placed in a room with a marshmallow, told that they can eat it now or wait, but if they wait, they get 2, and then they're left alone in a room with a video camera that recorded their behavior. Let's see what happens.
All right, here's the deal. Marshmallow for you. You can either wait, and I'll give you another one if you wait, or you can eat it now. When I come back, I'll give you another one, so then you'll have 2. But stay in here and stay in the chair till I come back, okay? All right. I'm gonna go do something and then I'll come back.
It smells yummy. It smells really good.
How'd you do? Did you do good? You did?
Yeah.
You wanted to eat it, didn't you? Yeah. So did I tell you to give you another one? Okay, now you can have both. You need them.
That's a man after my own heart right there. Now, this little test reminds us of our life sometimes. God has big plans for us, big dreams, but they require waiting. And sometimes we get ahead of God and we eat the marshmallow. And when we could have waited, there was something 2 times better around the corner, but we settle for the lesser dream. Dreams never seem to happen in a hurry, do they? They're always waiting. And waiting is the hardest part of dreaming. I mean, apply this to your life. There's the waiting of a single man or a single woman to see if God might have marriage in store for them. There's the waiting of a childless couple who desperately want to start a family, but day after day and week after week, their prayers go unanswered. There's the waiting of somebody who longs to have work that's meaningful and significant, that seems to matter, but it doesn't ever seem to happen. There's the waiting of a deeply depressed person longing for a moment when he or she will wake up wanting to thrive, but that morning never seems to come. Waiting is the hardest work of hope. And what I'm asking today is, while you wait, what steps could you take? What's the impossible dream that God is calling you to dream? Maybe it's to go back to school and get that degree or start the new career, but you're not sure how you could make that a reality. Hey, what's the first step you need to take? Maybe it's to reach out and try and repair a relationship that seems like it's beyond repair. Will you make the first move? Will you write the better story? Maybe it's to believe God for the first time from healing of that anxiety or depression or that hurt or that habit that's been weighing you down for decades. When are you going to ask for help? When are you going to get real help? Maybe it's to start the ministry that God's laid on your heart and you feel unqualified to leave. What are you prepared to do? Because God stands to write a bigger and better story. You're the only thing standing in the way.